afternoon. As Jenna said, my name is Clare Berke, or Miss Berke, English teacher at Benjamin Banneker Academic High School. I just pulled in a fourth panelist, so we now have a fourth school from Ballou High School is now represented as well today, which will definitely strengthen this discussion. I just want to let you know, if you hadn't figured it out already, this is a totally organic discussion. We have not prepped together at all. It will be just like a classroom experience where the facilitator, in this case myself, throws out some questions and the students build off of each other. They question each other, they can politely disagree or agree or concede or whatever their responses are. And we will just pass the mic and let them take the lead. I will start just by having each student participant just introduce yourself, your name, your school, maybe your grade level and interests. Is a good place to start.
Okay, well, I'm Kaya Myers. I'm from Thurgood Marshall Academy in Ward 8. I'm a senior, and my interest is going to college, so yeah.
Hi, my name is Pauline Green-Williams. I'm an 11th grader at Benjamin Banneker High School, and right now, I'm a competitive swimmer, so that's my interest.
Hi, my name is Omare Omatete. I'm in 8th grade at Washington Martin Public Charter School, and my interest is mostly sports. Right now I'm doing track, and we have a championship meet this Wednesday, so yeah.
Hi again. I didn't know I would be doing this, but again, my name is Tatiana Robinson. I'm a senior at Ballou High School in Ward 8. While I play a lot of sports, my main interest is advocating for students east of the river to ensure that we have equity to be able to compete with students all over the district. And that's why I chose to serve as the DC State Board of Education student representative. And my other interest is, going to college. So in the fall of 2019, I will be moving on to the University of Miami.
Thank you. And since you have the other mic, will you tell us what your plans are for next year?
Oh, I'll be going to Radford University in the fall. Yeah.
Okay, so our first discussion question is, what do you think about Brown versus the board and or Bowling v. Sharp? What difference do you think these cases have made 65 years later?
Okay, I'll go first. I think that these cases are very historic and very important to our society and like today. They've made like a law like you have to desegregate schools, but I feel as though the implementation can be like worked on in a way. So.
I agree with you as well. I think that the case is just overturning Plessy versus Ferguson, which was separate but equal, and creating Brown versus the Board of Education, which gave equal accommodations in schools. I think that it was a really big step in the right direction during the time. But as of right now, like in DC, you wouldn't be able to I wouldn't say you would be able to tell, but there is not very much of a diversity in schools. So I think, like you said, there could be better implementation of it.
I also agree because, in my school, you would see that there's a bunch of different races and different type of ethnicity. Oh, you know what I'm trying to say. But if you would see us sitting in the cafeteria at lunch, you would see all of us, all of the black people, the white people, and so on and so forth. And I feel like it could have been implemented better. When we have our homeroom, they intentionally divide us up from our friends so we learn more about each other. And in high school, there's a lot more homerooms, so we're gonna be divided even more. But they could take more steps to, helping all the groups know each other and not just sit with each other during lunch.
I feel like the rest of the panel summed up everything, but I think it's important to realize that we learn in school about, especially the Brown versus Board of Education case, but in terms of the Bowling v. Sharp case, I've learned a lot about it, but it's mainly from my own research. And it's sad that it happened in the district and we know less about this case. And so I think that especially with what's going on now, it's important for us to learn about what happened where we are.
Yeah, to add on what she just said, like I just learned about this case today. I learned more about it today than I would have ever learned in class. And this summer I'm going to take DC history, and I hope that they teach more about this because I really didn't know like till today.
I agree with you. I take DC history, I think next year, my senior year, but I feel like there's a lot of history with DC, just like in court cases and just a lot of things that changed the city that we know nothing about. And I feel like it doesn't help us as students because we can't know much about our city. We just know, general things like, we were Chocolate City, but like, I feel like in depth we don't know enough about it. And I feel like it may not be taught as much as it should be.
Thank you. So you all represent different schools in the district, some charter, some traditional public. Would you describe your school as diverse? And how do you feel about the diversity within your school?
Okay, so my question, I really don't think there's really a definition of diverse to me because my school is predominantly Black. But in a way, we are diverse. Like the programs that we don't just have like all Black teachers. Like there's a mix, and so diverse. I would say yes. Even though on the list, Thurgood Marshall is a non-diverse school. Like we have the mentor program, we have the civil rights trip, we're court. Like we do a lot, and our education is diverse. So I feel like that overpowers like race in a way.
I wasn't thinking about it like how you thought about it, so it made me think a little different. But like racially, my school's not very diverse at all. Like I can count on my hands like how many white people there are in my school. We're like 99% minority school, and I feel like now that I think about it, education-wise, we still follow stuff as like a common core thing. Like I don't really learn much outside. Like we don't do field trips. Like we don't learn much outside the building and things like that. And I feel like that hurts us. Like I think recently we went to the Count John A. Wilson building to go like protest for Banneker's move. And I feel like I learned more in that trip, just learning how to be a civil like an activist and how to like practice my diplomacy and things like that and how to advocate for myself in an eloquent way. I feel like I learned more from that trip, being outside of the school building than I did if I would have just took like a public speaking class. So I feel like in a way we're not very diverse, like all together.
My school, I believe, is very diverse because like I get to see different ethnicities, and like when I talk to people, they all have a different story to tell me all the time. And as I said earlier, I feel like it could be more diverse, and it could more ethnicities intermingling and stuff instead of all of us staying in our own little corner. And when the first time I saw an African American that was also Asian was going to my school, and he became my best friend because my parents knew his parents, and that kind of struck me as like very diverse and a new experience for me in ways.
In terms of my school, it depends on the aspect you look at. The students, we have about 98 or 99% Black students, so I wouldn't say the student population is diverse, but this year especially, you see more teachers, not just teachers of color anymore, but there are other teachers there, and when you see visitors come in the building, we especially see people who aren't of color, when they come in their suits and things of that sort. But in terms of students, no, it's not diverse.
So some of you started to touch on the next question in your responses. So if any of you want to add anything else to do you think the amount of diversity in your school affects your educational experience, and how?
Of course. I'm going to start with in DC history class this year, our students, along with the teacher, Miss Angela Richmond, did an Instagram project where they took pictures around the city and talked about the gentrification in DC. Some people took pictures of like U Street, some people did Berry Farms, some people did Anacostia and things of that sort. And it just made me realize that at Ballou, we lack the resources that schools, as they say, are uptown have. And I can just tell the difference, and especially with me being in this role and having to visit other schools and communicate with other students, it's clear that we lack the resources that we need to succeed, especially with a lot of our students experiencing trauma. They do need those extra resources that we don't have.
I think it does because like our teachers address us as like students and not as like a black 13-year-old. Because if they were like, if my school was predominantly black, then the teachers would probably address us in a different way than they do now. They address everyone in my school as equal, as not equal to the teacher, but as like equal citizens of the United States. And yeah, I think that it does affect our education.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. I think you started to answer it earlier. How does the diversity that exists or doesn't exist within Banneker affect your educational experience?
With Banneker, because we serve all 8 wards, I learned a lot from my counterparts, like, you know, how it is to live, you know, east of the river, how it is to live up in like Georgetown or like Columbia Heights. I learned a lot from that, but I feel like I could learn more if I knew more about like more than just the economic background, if I knew more about a racial background, or like, you know, like if you were from a different state. Like I feel like there's a bunch of aspects that come into you becoming like who you are. And when we're all from like a lot of my friends are from my neighborhood, like where I am, I feel like I can't expand my way of thinking because there's not much of a difference in us. You know, we like up here, we pretty much agree on like almost all the levels. So I feel like it pushes me back in that I have to research my own ways of how I could think about something different, rather than if I'm having like a Socratic seminar where I can just hear it and then in that moment I can learn a new thing. I have to really like push to learn something different.
So my experience is different. Thurgood, we just like, I guess we're all black. We not all black, but predominantly black. But I feel as though in a way we do challenge each other. We do come from like the same place, but I guess the academics that they give us, we start to change how we think, and not everybody thinks the same anymore. So like we went to like I've already addressed a civil rights trip. We went on, went to like 5 states and went to like landmarks, historical landmarks, and we walked across the bridge and talked to a whole bunch of people. It was really nice, and I feel like those things that we do, they like expand our horizon. And so even though we're all black, not every black person is like the same. You can't like just put us all under one, can't generalize us. So that's just how I think of it. And I mean, well, one other thing is, because we are predominantly black, there could be a culture shock when we do go to other places because we don't see people of different races. But I mean, we survived through this, so yeah.
Thank you. So if you were gonna think about like your ideal school, your ideal learning environment, what would comprise that environment? And not just in terms of students, but all the aspects of your learning experience, from curriculum to facilities to friends and educational opportunities. What's your ideal setting for school?
My ideal setting for me personally is just like, I feel like you learn better when you have more space. And this is a perfect time for me to talk about it. Banneker has limited space, and we love for you all to support us. Hashtag #BackBannekers Move on Twitter and Instagram so we can move to the Shaw site. But I feel like learning, just like I said, like if I had a huge space like this school here, and I had more resources and things like that, like I feel like I could learn so much better, and I feel like my ideal school would just be able to accommodate everyone. Like my elementary school, I went to Two Rivers. We were extremely diverse, and it's like I think about that, like how many friends I had that didn't look like me, didn't act like me, and I feel like that helped me to be a person that I am today. And I feel like that should travel on up until high school, but oftentimes it doesn't. So, having a nice building that promotes learning and nice teachers that care about you as a person, not about as like a grade, and just being able to be diverse would be my perfect learning environment.
I also went to Two Rivers when I was in elementary school. And my ideal school would be so there would be murals of different cultures on all the walls, and then maybe the teachers and the students could interact in different languages and different sorts of greetings and hand gestures. And I would also think the resources that we wouldn't have to think about those, because they knew that there was a steady supply of resources that could come in and help the students learn. And yeah.
It's kind of hard to answer this question because the perfect school here in the district just wouldn't exist. First of all, the problems systematically have affected us and basically brainwashed everybody here. We shouldn't have schools where it matters about the amount of money you have or about your race, and then if you do have people of color, all the people of color with money go to this school and everyone else gets dumped in this other school. So first we have to address that. And then we have to ensure that the amount of money and investors and things of that sort is equal. And then I don't even think we would ever get to a place where it's equal, that it's equitable to give the students just all over the same amount of opportunities to, just be able to make it out and be able to do something. I think we also have to give kids exposure. At Ballou, we are fortunate enough to go on things like college tours, but we have to do more things because we have to be honest, college isn't for everyone. And college gets pushed in so many people's faces. People think if I don't go to college, I'm just going to be on the street or doing things I'm not supposed to for the rest of my life. And so I think that we have to recognize that learning is not just inside the classroom, it takes place outside. I think we need to have equitable resources and making sure that there's a 1-to-1 ratio, not just with technology, but with books. We don't even have enough books at Ballou for every student. And just ensuring that we have teachers who care and who aren't just there for a paycheck, teachers who are passionate, especially with students who already experience trouble in the household. It's hard for them to leave their baggage at the door and just go to school with a positive attitude. We need people who will be able to work with those students.
Okay. I don't really have a perfect school, but I don't want to feel like I'm promoting Thurgood, but Thurgood, we just do so much, and I just feel most of the teachers, not all the teachers, but most of the teachers, they really care about you, and they know you by name, they talk to you every day, and so I would want something like that. I want my teachers to I know that they care about me, how so many teachers at Berke do. Also, like Tatiana said, exposure. At Thurgood, we do have exposure. We go a lot of places. We have law firm tutoring, and now we just got the peer court, so we have restorative justice on site. And I just feel we need more academic and extracurricular activities like those at school. So that's what I want in my school. The only thing that I would also want in my school is maybe a better diverse school, racially. But I feel like I'm at HBCU, even though it's not a college, so yeah.
I think that it's in my perfect school would also be important to recognize that at things like charter schools, you have the ability to, those students who are troublemakers, kick them out to ensure that the school is staying on track and doing what it's supposed to do. So I would ensure that even the students who have trouble get the support within their school that they need. Because in charter schools, you have the ability, it's not neighborhood high schools, and Ballou is a neighborhood high school, so it's kind of comparing apples to oranges. I would ensure that we recognize that as well.
I've got one more question for you, and this is the question that I don't know. It doesn't matter more, but it could matter more. If you could ask anything of DC officials who are in charge of making major school decisions, what would you request?
Well, I would ask the officials to step inside the school building, actually spend time with the students, and don't use the paycheck as an excuse to make something look good. And when I say that, I can give an example. DC now has the star rating, and Ballou is rated a 1 on the star rating. And since Ballou has been rated a 1, we will be getting funding in order to move towards improving the school and ensuring that there are supports in place because we were a 1-star rated school. And so with that, I think that it's just important for the people who are making our decisions to first of all talk to the students, ensure that their voices are heard, but step inside the school and spend time with the students. This is going to be my last thing I say. I'll give an example. When the chancellor first came, I was on the our school's leadership committee and choosing a new chancellor. And when he first came to Ballou, the students were like, "Who's this?" Another typical person. He came in a suit. And I keep saying suit because it's like, especially when students experience trauma, it's like the person in the suit is just there for business and not there because they care about you. And so I told him, next time you come to Ballou, ensure that you look like us. And so the next time he came in some Jordans. I don't know if you guys know what Space Jams are, but he came in Jordans, jeans, and a blue shirt. And it just showed the students that, I'm not just here because I was chosen as the next chancellor. I'm here because I care and I'm trying to improve the district.
I have something similar to yours. First I would ask them to start funding in the neighborhood, because I used to live near H Street, and if you see it now, there's a bunch of new condos and new hotels, but then right beside them there are these houses, these row houses, and they're not that big, because I used to live in one of them, and I just want them to step outside and see the neighborhoods, near my old school, which was Wheatley, which was after Two Rivers. It was, the education was great, and the disciplinary education, the disciplinary action and stuff, that was great. But the neighborhood had gangs and stuff. I literally walked to that school and saw people putting this guy in a trash can. But my mom was with me, so she just walked me faster. And the people inside the school, they just cursed as much as they want and fought as much as they want. And I literally had to be invisible so I wouldn't have to experience this. So I would just want them to help the neighborhoods before you make these condos and these big hotels. Yeah.
To bounce off what you said, I really think like you said, caring about the communities, because as a teen growing up in DC, there's a lot of unnecessary trauma that we have to go through. My friend, he lost one of his best friends, and it really it shows every day in school how hurt he is. And I feel we don't have enough programs implemented that will help kids, understanding that our homicide rate is extremely high, and that a lot of it, and not a lot of it, but a good portion of it is from kids. Kids are dying at a huge rate, and we don't have support systems in school. We don't have peer counseling. We don't have, a lot of things like that will help us learn how to cope with our pain. And I feel if you step out into the neighborhood, you will be able to understand it and understand that, and then you'll be able to help the kids handle things. And also, I feel like everyone said, talk to the kids, because you're not helping the school for the parents or for the people that live around there. You're helping it for the kids. So if you don't get input from the kids, you're getting it from, how these people in the neighborhood feel, you're not helping them. You're like, in ideas, you're helping the adult. You're not helping us. Like, I couldn't understand the point of just, not talking to the kids about something that's going to affect the kids and things like that.
Yeah, that was my biggest point. It's like, listen to student voice. Like, students, we have a lot to say, and we will say. And so I just think, like, what she said is reiterated. Like, they think that they're helping the kids by listening to the teachers and the parents. And I understand that, like, you can get your input, but you do need to talk to the students because we're the ones going to the schools. We're the ones that are going to be here every day. So that's who you need to listen to. And my second thing is, I would ask the question of why is there such a barrier between public charter schools and public schools? Because there's like this, not tension, but tension between the two, and how one like is different from the other academic-wise or just diversity-wise, etc. And then my last thing would be to just look into equity, like just throughout neighborhoods, because I went to Stewart Hopkinton and Capitol Hill, and we had a lot, like we did a lot of things, but that's because we were in Capitol Hill. If I went to a school in Ward 8, Ward 8 or Ward 7, I feel like it would be totally different from what I had experienced as a child. And so I would just want them to look into that.
Also, a lot of DC kids have the same goal, which is to get out of DC and make DC a better place and help our community, help our families and stuff. So I think when like you have equity, you're giving everyone the opportunity to fulfill that dream. Because like staying in DC, it's not a goal of mine. I want to become a district attorney. I know what I have to do, and I want to be able to and I want to be a district attorney so I can help kids in DC like me and help people like me. So I just feel like once you give equity, you're giving everyone the same opportunity to follow that same path and that same goal and that same dream.
First, I wanted to piggyback off what she just said. It's sad that the students in DC who are actually doing great things feel like they have to leave in order to improve to come back. I always knew that I wanted to go to college outside of DC, and it wasn't necessarily a resources thing. It was more so that I wanted to be able to experience that diversity that I've always seen in my life. And when I get older, I want to be the mayor of DC, and I feel like me going away and coming back will help me see how other cities work, so I'll be able to improve here. And then something else I think that a lot of people don't realize is that schools don't teach students things, parents do. And so we have to have more systems and more supports in place for those parents who don't know how to raise a child, or those parents who just don't know what they're doing, or they lack the time because they work 5 jobs because they have so many kids, or they just live in a bad neighborhood and they just need the money. And a lot of people complain that it's just parents that aren't involved in their child's things and that they don't see them at meetings and stuff, but that might be because they work until 10 o'clock at night. And so I feel like we have to meet the parents halfway as well and have those supports in place to make sure that parents feel comfortable in the schools, that you have those adults that are willing to work with those types of parents, and just having emotional supports for parents who, again, struggle raising their children, because it starts at home. And if students, like he said, he saw a lot of cursing when you went to what school? When you went to Wheatley, he saw a lot of cursing. That's because when you probably walk in the neighborhood and see adults outside cursing each other out, the students are going to pick that up. And they're going to take that to school and treat the teachers like that. In elementary schools now, we had an all-time high. I've heard so many stories that kids throwing chairs at teachers. It's because of the things that they see in their neighborhood.
We're out of time, but I think you can see why I love my job. Thank you, students.